Hello and a great big welcome to the Ultimate Business Course. This is going to be 15 sessions of intense business training where I take everything that I've learned over the years, cram it into the Ultimate Business Course to share with you, the business owner. And I'm really excited to share everything that I've learned over the years with you. All the books I've read, training I've done, absolutely everything that I can muster, I've packed into this course just for you. So I really hope you enjoy it. What qualifies me? Well, as I said, I've done a lot of training and research, but also I have failed in business, and that qualifies me as much as my successes do. And so my very first business was a recruitment consultancy with the great invention of the video CV that I was extremely passionate about. I thought that if I had all the passion in the world and gave it my all, that my business would just naturally blossom. What I didn't know was that there was an awful lot of skill, common sense, training that needed to underpin my great idea and my passion. And so passion is essential for business. Of course it is. But without all of this training, without all of this knowledge and information, it's going to be very difficult for you to succeed in your business. And so it's very, very important to me that I communicate with the business world about all of these nitty-gritty things that are essential to your business success. You're not alone. The House of Commons said that in 2016 there were 5.5 million businesses in the UK. 99% of these were small or medium-sized businesses. This is an increase of 97,000 since 2015 and 2 million more since 2000. So there's a massive rise of people getting into business. Recently, the Telegraph reported that more than half of new businesses don't survive beyond 5 years in the UK. In 2016, the Huffington Post claimed that 95% of startups ultimately fail. So yes, there's a massive surge, a massive rise up of people saying, I want to have my own business. I don't want to work for a boss anymore. I don't want to be told what to do, when to wake up, what to eat, what to wear. I want to have my own business. I want to go for it. I have a great idea. Let's do it. There's a lot of that going on, hence the figures for all the startups. But then equally, there's a lot of people going out there not equipped to succeed in business. And so there's a high percentage of failures. There's a high failure rate in business as well. My aim is for you to not only have a great idea and a vision and passion, which hopefully you've already got, but also to have a great chance of succeeding in your business. Seth Godin, a marketeer, said, "The only thing worse than starting something and failing is not starting something." And so don't think, I'm going to fail, I can't do this, let me just not try. Of course not. Of course, try. Give it your best. Some people, most people, don't succeed on their first business attempt. That's okay. You learn, you grow, you get up and you try again. Perhaps you are one of the people who will succeed at this attempt. But if not, you know what? So what? Get up, dust yourself off, give it another go. Because if it's your desire to have a successful business, then it's up to you to make it happen. No matter how hard, no matter how many times you have to try, you have to just get up and keep going. The Ultimate Business Course is centered around the business plan. I've written this course to go step by step through a business plan. So at the end of the Ultimate Business Course, not only do you have a really good understanding of what you need to do, what you need to know to grow a successful business, but also you'll have a very clear business plan written out, one that you will understand, one that doesn't have big fancy words that you don't get, not a business plan that you did because you had to and then you file it and never look at it again. I would like you to have a living, working document. So we're going to workshop a business plan over the next 15 sessions. The end result will be your very own business plan that you've written, that you understand, and that you can refer back to over and over again to give your business the greatest chance of success. Now, there are many ways to write a business plan. If you want to write a business plan because you need to go to the bank to get funding, then there is a particular way that you will have to write it to meet their criteria for funding. However, If you're writing a business plan purely for yourself or for yourself and your business partner, then think outside the box. What inspires you? How are you wired? I like to write on Word documents with bullet points, headings and subheadings. I like everything laid out on spreadsheets with graphs and charts. That's me. I'm wired that way. I love to work that way. Somebody else perhaps might not be inspired. They might find that the most boring way to write a business plan, they want to get a notebook out and handwrite and maybe add some pictures or stick in some pretty lace and ribbon because their business is perhaps a cake business. So find a way to write your business plan in a way that inspires you. Maybe start off using the Ultimate Business Plan template as a guide, but then adapt it as you go and make it your own, because this business plan is for you. It's so that you have a working document to work from, that you can refer back to, that you can measure yourself against over the months and years to come. So why use a business plan? Firstly, it sets out clear objectives. Secondly, plan what should be done to accomplish them. And third, a business plan is to evaluate the results of the plan. The advantage of a business plan is that it clarifies your thinking, creates a clear vision, purpose and strategy, identifies problem areas, minimizes legal problems, forces you to be realistic about finances. Top business plan mistakes include the plan claims that there's no real risk involved, the plan is too vague or incomplete, inadequate research is conducted, the company's purpose or objective is vague, it has unrealistic financials, and it is completely ignorant of competitors. Some top business plan tips: be concise, get to the point, be visual, use graphs, charts and images, be creative, add your own flavor, be realistic. There's really no such thing as a get-rich-quick scheme. Be realistic about what your plan is going to achieve. Be open, get and value feedback from people you trust. So those are some tips and some key points, some bullet points, some of my favorite ways to write bullet points, but they're bullet points about what to expect, how to use your business plan and how not to use it. What we start with in your business plan, in the very first section of your business plan, is what's called the summary, or in some cases the executive summary. Now, although this part of the business plan comes at the very beginning of your plan, it's actually what you write last. It kind of captures what you've written in your plan and gives it a little summary. What I propose you do now is have a think about your business. Think about your big idea. And then write it down in the summary section. But be mindful that after you've done your entire business plan, you may want to come back to the summary part again and tweak it or change it entirely once you have a clearer picture of your business. And so the first thing I recommend you do is write a short description in the first summary box. In this description, either go for 140 characters, which is a tweet. So can you tweet? Can you articulate, can you communicate what you do in 140 characters in a tweet? Or you can go for 140 words, and 140 words takes approximately 60 seconds to verbalize. So you would use this sort of summary if you're going to a networking event, as your elevator pitch. If you wanted to tell people what you did and you were given the opportunity to do so, you could create this 140 word summary of your business. So I recommend that you start with that. Just put it down there. It doesn't have to be right. Like I said, you're probably going to change it later. But let's very clearly communicate your big idea. And then the second space is for you to go into a little bit more detail. So write in your big box, your detailed summary, a bit more about your business. Whatever is important to you, whatever comes out, just sit down at your business plan now and just write out what comes to mind. Because like I said, you don't have to get it right at this stage. We just want to start the flow. We just want to start getting your ideas down on paper. Now we're going to take a look at your business name. What's in a name? Everything. A name is so important. First of all, you don't want to get your name wrong. and then have to go and rebrand and relaunch. There are times when that may naturally happen. There are times when you might like to do that, and that can be to your benefit. But constantly changing names or changing focus or rebranding, it's just going to confuse your audience, and they're not going to know what's going on, and they'll probably start to think you don't know what you're doing, and they won't want to do business with you. So as far as possible, get it right on the first go. Really take time to consider your business name. Your business name should really be something that describes what you do. There are several different ways to look at your business name, but let's first look at describing what you do. For example, if your boiler breaks, you could go to the Yellow Pages or the internet or wherever you go to hunt for your boiler repair person, and you could find several different names. There's not much that's going to tell you how they differ in, say, the Yellow Pages. You're just going to have a bigger or a smaller ad. Does anybody use the Yellow Pages anymore? That's the first thing that comes to mind. But anyway, the business name. So you could have Sarah Jane's Heating, a business name. You could have another business that does exactly the same thing, and it says Cozy Homes Heating. Now, which business gives you a better vibe, a better feeling? Your business name, you could design it to stir up emotions and get people to feel something towards you and be drawn to you. So Sarah Jane's Heating is a very good company that will come out and fix your boiler, but Cozy Homes Heating makes you feel like, oh, I like it. There's something about it that I like. Let's give them a call. So that's a very basic example, but can you see how the same business doing exactly the same thing, but two different business names can have a significantly different impact? Another thing you could do is you could have an abbreviation or an alliteration. You can play around with a business name. Now, understand that it could take you 20 years to build a brand. It could take you a long time to build your business. So you need to consider something that you're going to be able to stick to, something that you might want to leave as a legacy and pass on to future generations. If my business name is Angela De Souza's Business Solutions, then if my daughter wants to take it over one day, she might not want to keep the name. And so I'm not really building for the future. I'm building for me. Women's Business Club, I can leave to my daughter, I can leave to my grandchildren. It can carry on. And so I've set up a business name that, although it has my personality infused into it, it can also have somebody else's personality infused into it further down the line and not lose the name, not lose the meaning behind it. I could also have gone for a funky business name, taking letters of my name, mixing them together and creating a name like Ange de Souza Business Solutions. Now, that's a terrible example because it sounds like teenage slang for Angela's sorry, or it sounds like I sell sizzling sausages. What impression does that business name give you? Well, not a very good one. That's why I chose it, because I wanted to show you that it's very important that the way people perceive your name is factored into it. So for me, Ange de Souza, it's great. That's my name. It's very special. It's a little bit mysterious. But what kind of impression is it giving people who are seeing my business name or hearing it? Probably not a very good one. And so it's very important that you factor in how people are reading it and perceiving it. You could have an abbreviation. My very first company was so complicated. It was D7 Recruitment. That was the short name, but that was the abbreviation. It was an encrypted abbreviation. I mean, I complicated that thing to death, not realizing the importance of a name. And so D7 was the shortened version. It was an abbreviation of the full name, which was D7.15.4. D7.15.4. And that was an encryption of something else that was very dear to me. Complicated. I had great meaning to me. You know, it was like very special to me. Oh wow, I've got the secret meaning in my name and things like that. But really, when people encountered it, did it say anything? Did it mean anything? No, nothing. Thankfully, I had the word recruitment in it, which helped a bit. But really, I should have thought that through more carefully. And so the name really didn't help my business grow at all. The next thing to consider is that your name will be used in your domain name, and that again is also very important. Your domain name needs to be short, it needs to be memorable, and we are going to cover domain names and websites in more depth in another module, but for now let's just look at it from the angle of the business name. So you want to come up with a business name that you're very passionate about, that makes sense, that creates nice warm fuzzies for people or whatever you want it to create. Something that is catchy perhaps. You could even consider a business name with humor. Today I spoke to one of the ladies on the Ultimate Business course that I was presenting live, and she said her business is to do with fashion and art. And guess what her business name is? No jokes. Yep, Fart. Okay, she created this humorous business name, it's over in the Philippines, and she said it's catchy, people love it, and so she's chosen to go down that route. You could do that too. There are many different ways to look at it, but the important thing is to consider how it makes people feel, but also, are you going to be able to stick with your business name for a long time? Because one day you'll get bored and you want to change things, but you shouldn't. You need to make sure this is something that you can stick to. It's not going to be one of the things that you're going to want to change further down the line. Nowadays, domain names have many options, and it's really fun. Our domain name is womensbusiness.club. We don't have a .co.uk, .com.uk. We've opted for a .club because we're a women's business club. And so think about your domain name. Is there a way that you could have, say, something dot and then a description of what you do? You don't have to go for the traditional .com or .co.uk anymore. You may want to, but also you may want to play around with domain names a bit. So have a look on the internet, have a look on domain name providers such as vidahost.com, and go play around in there and see what kind of names can you come up with that actually have a very catchy or meaningful domain name attached to it. That's another way to look at it. And so yes, your name, your business name is very important. Again, write down your business name in the business name section of the Ultimate Business Plan, but don't worry because we can change it later. Once you've worked through some of the modules, you might suddenly think this is exactly what I should say, this is exactly what it should be called. You can always go back and change it at a later date. But for now, play around with your business name, do a little bit of research. I recommend going to the Companies House website. I think it's companieshouse.gov.uk as far as I remember. Go check if the name's taken, because the last thing you want is to come up with a brilliant business name, you're all excited about it, and then you go to Companies House and they say, sorry, you can't use it. And so check domain names, make sure the domain name's available, make sure it's available on Companies House, do some Googling and just check that you can actually use the business name that you've chosen to use. Right, now we're going to move on to the legal status of your company. The legal status of your company can change. So yes, again, decide what you'd like to do, decide where you'd like to start, but don't panic that it's set in concrete forever. You can change. You can go from a sole trader to limited company, from an LLC to a CIC. You can move things around, they can be changed. But it's really good to start at the right place. You want to start with a legal status for your company that you're comfortable with, that you feel is a good starting point for you. So I'm going to run through the various options. There are more, but I'm going to cover the most popular ones, and then you decide what legal status is best for your company. The first thing I would say is you do need to have a legal status. You don't want to just be running your company illegally, out of your personal bank account, out of your personal life, not actually registered with HMRC at all, not declaring that you're self-employed in any way. That's the worst way to start off your business. You want to get these things right. So the very first method or model that you have for your business or legal status is as a sole trader. Now, a sole trader is a great way to start if you don't intend to employ anyone. You can employ as a sole trader, but if you don't intend to employ anyone, this is a great starting point. A sole trader, they recognize you and the business as one. And so if you decide to register as a sole trader, you're not protected at all, legally and financially. Now, if you're dealing with small amounts of money, you haven't reached masses of invoicing in or out, things like that, you can be pretty safe as the sole trader. It's not tax efficient, so any profit that you make is declared as income, and again, it's the liability side of things. So if you're setting up contracts or whatever the case may be, you're personally liable. You are required by law to submit a tax return at the end of every year as a sole trader, but other than that, there's no real expenses involved in running your business as a sole trader. Sole traders are very popular and can easily be changed at a later date to a limited company. So if you want to start very low-key, very safe, then start as a sole trader. The next sort of business is a partnership. Now, a partnership is exactly what it says it is. It's a partnership. It's where two or more people come together to form a business, and they can register it as a partnership. Now, a partnership is just like two sole traders in agreement. So you're still required by law to register individual tax returns. The partnership, each individual in the partnership is liable personally and legally and financially. So it has no protection again. It's very much just a sole trader, but two or more of you. With a sole trader, you're responsible for your own debts, but not only your debts, the debts of your partner. So if you do partner up with somebody, be very careful that you can trust them and that you understand that if anything goes wrong in the partnership, that you are liable or they are liable, depending on which party is not pulling their weight. You're both liable for each other's debts and finances or contracts, whatever the case may be. Next, we have a limited company. Now, this is a very popular way to register a business. A limited company is considered separate from the individual. So, if you take out a lease on a car, for example, and you sign it as an individual and you miss a payment, you personally are liable financially. They'll come after your personal money, your savings or your house or whatever the case may be. If you sign a lease on a vehicle and you're a limited company, then the company is liable if anything goes wrong, if you miss a payment or whatever the case may be. They cannot come after your personal finance, your savings, your home, whatever the case may be is safe. And so that's why a limited company is very popular. It is about building up a strong business, but if sadly anything goes wrong, and sometimes it does, you're protected. Your business partners are protected if they're part of the limited company, but you are protected, so you're not liable personally. A limited company is relatively cheap and easy to set up. However, you have to be mindful that there are maintenance costs. You will have to submit your annual return at the end of every year, and you will need to employ the services of a chartered accountant. You won't be able to do your own year-end to submit to Companies House. You really need to get this part right. And so that could cost you in the upper hundreds into the thousands to have your business your year-end submitted by your accountant, and so you do need to be mindful of those costs. Some accountants will very kindly spread the costs over the year for you, so that makes it less of a chunk of money that you have to pay at the end of the year. You also have to submit an annual return each year to Company House, but a good accountant will take care of that for you as well. So be very mindful that there are pros, but there are cons to having a limited company as well. An LLP, a limited partnership, is a combination of a partnership and a limited company, where each partner's liability is limited to the money that they've put into the business and the amount of personal guarantees that they have given to raise any finance for the business. So it's like a partnership and a limited company. The profit of an LLP is taxed as income, so you lose the tax benefit of a limited company. But it's a great vehicle for professional service companies, for example. The final legal status I'd like to look at is a community interest company. Now, this is a company that exists for the benefit of the community, and so all of their profits are poured back into the community. And you'd register a company like in this status if you wanted people to really trust that you were in it for them, that it was for the benefit of the community, for the greater good of the community, that you weren't building all the profits into your personal budget, into your, lining your pockets with the profits. And so There are no tax concessions for CICs, so whereas if you had a charity or a charitable incorporated organisation, there would be tax benefits. A community interest company doesn't have any of those tax benefits. But it is a great way to register your business if you want to dedicate the profits and your energies for the greater good of the community. The next thing I would like to look at is your bank account. Again, big decision, maybe not such a big decision, but you do have to consider your bank account. First of all, you don't want to be running your business finances out of your personal bank account. First of all, for very obvious reasons, it's going to be a nightmare when you have to submit your tax return or anything. You've got to separate your personal business finances. I can't imagine having to do that. It must be a complete headache. So you really want to be disciplined with your business finances. Now, there's a lot to look at and to consider when setting up a business bank account. Questions to ask would include, what are the monthly account fees? Now be mindful that many business banks will lure you in with an initial 1 month, 18-month or even 2-year free business banking period. So for that time period, you can just blissfully enjoy banking and there's no charges whatsoever. But then suddenly your free period ends and you're hit with all sorts of charges. So when choosing your bank account, look at what's going to happen after that initial free period and make a decision, because it can be a real administrative nightmare having to move bank accounts a couple of years after. People have your bank details, it's distributed on invoices, and it really can be unnecessary work for you. Find out what transaction charges will apply. Do they charge for depositing checks and cash? Do you need to receive card payments? Do you need a debit and credit card? Do you need to receive card payments? Do you need a branch or online banking? And that's it for today. I look forward to seeing you again over in the next module.